Although, even though, despite the fact that, spite of the fact that, spite, despite of, in spite of. Consider the following examples. Although I tell you the truth, you still call me a liar. Second example. Even though the exam was a piece of cake, easy, I didn't work well. Despite the fact that you don't appreciate my work, you ask me for help. Fourth example. You still call me a liar, spite of the fact that I tell you the truth. Fifth example. Despite snowstorm, we fly to London. So these examples are showing different conjunctions and prepositions with two clauses. First clause with a preposition or conjunction and the second clause on its own. Sixth example. Despite of arriving late, I understood the lesson well. Seventh, we arrived early despite traffic. 8. I play piano very well, though, or we can say even though, I have neither talent nor patience to it. Answer the questions related to the sentences. How many clauses on the examples 1, 2, 3, and 4? How do we call the clauses? What about 5th and 6th and 7th clause? What do the sentences express? Keys. There are two clauses on each sentence. The first clause is called dependent clause, with the conjunction is called dependent clause, and the second clause is called independent clause or main clause. Dependent clause can't stand on its own, and dependent clause can't stand on its own because it has a meaning. There is an independent clause plus preposition of contrast or opposition plus noun phrase or a noun or a gerund ing verb. The sentences express contrast and opposition. So we have although, even though, despite the fact that, though, despite the fact that, sorry, I repeated the writing of even though, plus clause, subject plus verb, the main clause. In spite of, despite, spite of, plus noun or gerund verb to ing or noun phrase. So dependent clause with the conjunction of contrast is totally opposite of the following independent clause. So here we have two clauses. The one is dependent, the other is independent, which are totally different or opposite, expressing something totally different from the expectations. What do we expect the second idea is going to be will be the opposite. If we have the first idea in the dependent clause negative, the second idea of the independent clause will be positive. If the dependent clause is positive, the independent clause will be negative. So it's vice versa. They have two different contrast, opposite ideas. Example, although you work hard, you don't gain a lot of money. So someone who is working hard, it's supposed to gain a lot of money, but here you don't gain a lot of money. In spite of working hard, you don't gain a lot of money. Conjunctions and prepositions of contrast can be replaced by but, however, yet. However comes after it an adjective, as the example. However, while I prepared for the competition, I didn't win the title. So for however, when you have the adjective after however, it expresses the same meaning as the conjunctions of contrast. Even though I prepared well for the competition, I didn't win the title. I prepared well for the competition, but I didn't win the title. Also, despite of preparing well for the competition, I didn't win the title. Or we can say, despite of being ready for the competition, I didn't win the title. I hope you understood the function of all these conjunctions and prepositions. Take one, task 1. Join the following sentences using either a conjunction or a preposition. Okay? And of course, you make the necessary changes. First, the doctor was sure about the success of surgery. The patient died. So we join these sentences with one of the previous conjunctions or prepositions. Ferial is smart. She gets bad marks at school. Third, the actors are famous. They suffer of loneliness. So they feel lonely, alone. Fourth, Muslim civilization gives a lot to humanity. People deny the contribution of Muslim civilization in today's development. So you try to do this task before looking for the keys, please. Then you check the keys at the end of this video. Second task that you can find in your exam, Baccalaureate exam 2. So we have two forms of tasks for this lesson. Rewrite sentence B to have the same meaning as sentence A. So can you find join or link the sentences, or rewrite B to have the same meaning as A. The football team is weak, but it wins the game. So how do we say on B? Using one of the conjunctions. However strong old civilizations were, they fell down. So use although, even though, despite of, in spite of, despite the fact that, and so on. I don't like tomatoes yet. I love ketchup. Keys for first task. Even though the doctor was sure about the success of the surgery, the patient died. Although Ferial is smart, she gets bad marks at school. So you can change these conjunctions with other conjunctions, despite the fact that, spite the fact that, or by prepositions, spite of, and others. So we carry on the keys. Despite the fact that the actors are famous, they suffer of loneliness. Or, despite being famous, the actors suffer of loneliness. Here I give you two options. People deny the contribution of Muslim civilization in today's development, even though it gives a lot to humanity. Okay, just some remark, when you start with the conjunction or the preposition, you put a comma before the main clause. But when the conjunction or the preposition is in the middle, you don't put a comma. We carry on. For task 2, despite of weakness of the football team, they win the game. Or even though the football team was weak, they win the game. Okay, so despite the fact that the football team is weak, it wins the game. Okay, so we can say despite of, we can say despite the fact that. Clear? I hope you understood the lesson. Last examples or answers. Even though all civilizations were strong, they fell down. I love ketchup, though I don't like tomatoes. Or even though I don't like tomatoes. I hope you understood the lesson. بالنسبة للشرح بالعربية ستجدونه في صندوق الوصف. شكرا على المشاهدة. أتمنى أن تكونوا استفدتوا من الفيديو. إن كان هناك أي سؤال فتفضلوا في التعليق. باي باي.